Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Last class we have seen an example of how we can do the uh, design and search the data from the database. As you have seen, what we have tried was we have tried to add a customer. So let's try to see that again. Yeah, ID card number. In this case, you should see it will fail if there is more than one customer. So we need to handle that. Okay, for now it's not handling that, so we have to handle that. L099649, this is a customer who already exists, so just the fact that his ID card number exists should be enough. Name and phone number, even if they are different, we can't take them because ID number is same. See, if you try to add in, this will give you some kind of error. See, duplicate entry for primary key. So these things, let's handle this first. In the add function, there is a controller where we can see customer was trying to create a customer, and storage you have a save into the database. So you will only save to the database if this customer doesn't exist, right? If this customer exists, then you are not going to uh, add this customer, right? Okay. I feel like the audio quality is getting deteriorated again. Is it quite good? I think so. Okay, let me increase the volume a little bit. Yeah, now it's better. Okay. This is the index class create class. Sorry, index function create function. This is the store function where we added the user to the database. Here, before you save into the customer, you have to check if this customer exists or not. Okay, so you can locate this customer from the database by sending a query to the controller. So you are in the customer controller. You can say if, right, if this customer does not exist, we will add him. Else, we have to show some kind of an error message. So last class we said all the errors you should show them in the same place, and that is true. But in the controller, actually, you can display message boxes, so that is not a problem, right? So if this if this customer exists, let's say if customer exists. Okay, this is a boolean function we have to create. What is the customer? This customer. How do you know that? You only send him customer ID card number. If this customer ID card number exists, then this means this customer exists in the database. Oh, okay. So to do this also we need the database check, right? We have to do the database check. Let's go there first. Okay. So in the database, we have this query where we were adding the data to the database. So sending data to the database. Okay, let's try to create the second one. Public static void. It's not a void. It's going to return a result set actually, because the result set is what you get after you do a query. So get, see here, send query to MySQL, get MySQL result, get MySQL result, get result from MySQL, something like this. But this is also fine, get MySQL result. So we are sending a query, a select query, definitely is not an update query. If you are updating something or inserting something, you are sending data. If you are getting something from MySQL, then you are actually retrieving data, right? So you can see here we already have a result set here which we can use. So result set is going to be what we are going to return. Again, try catch. See, if there is an error, there should be a catch. This also we will handle this class. If there is an error, it should handle it. Exception E. Exception E. Right, now you are here. So this function is is asking us to return something. So we can see here we already have a result. So we are going to return that result set that we have created earlier here. So we are returning the same thing, but we are going to modify it inside this. So try to get the data from MySQL. Again, you remember there is a way to get the database connection, and that is using DB connection equal database get connection. So you use database class to create the database connection. Once you have the database connection, if the connection is not null, same thing, before you close the database, same thing like this. If the database connection is not null, then we can send a statement query. But this time, you see, this time we are asking the user to get a query. So it's not an update, it's a query. So execute query, send this SQL, and you're going to get a result. And this result set, you're going to assign it inside the result set. So this is going to be the result set. It's going to return a result set, and you're going to insert this data into this result set and return. That is the data that has been returned by the MySQL. Okay, and of course, if there is an error, it's going to show an error here. So this part, let's add a, this is a graphical interface. So j option pan dot show message dialog, and if you remember correctly, last class we tried this. So there is no graphical interface where this can be shown. There's another way of displaying the error messages, which we'll cover later, like having a common error dialog. So that will pop up every time there is an error. So we will try to handle that later on when we go into a common error interface. But for now, we will just display what we have to display. So error is here. We did this earlier. Where was it? We did this earlier. The customer UI. Yeah. Yes, something like this. So the message comes first, then comes the. So we will actually copy this line. Show message dialog, and in the message dialog, if there is an error, the controller will show an error. So please, there is no this because there is no graphical interface here. And then please fill in all the fields. This is the error. So the error is e dot get message, and this is an error. Simple. Okay. Yeah. So that's the idea of this type of errors. Now we have a query coming here, and this is the same error we are going to display right here. Okay, two queries working the same. Okay, now let's go to the controller. Yeah. Does this customer exist or not? So customer exists, check with the ID card number. Just like saving data to the database, we'll create another function here in the controller. Public static boolean. Does this customer exist? And what do you need? You need a string value, which is customer ID. Customer ID. Just give me the customer ID, and I can check if this customer exists from the database. So have an initial boolean variable exist. We assume this customer does not exist, and we return exist status. That's better, right? Instead of saying exist means it exists. This is a better variable. Okay, so we will modify this variable here. If we are able to find the customer, we will set it to true. Okay, so let's have a query equal select customer ID from customer where customer ID. See, simple query equal. So you have plus here, and then send in the customer ID. And remember again, this is a string value, so single quote here, sorry about that, single quote here, and at the end also single quote, and every query must also has a semicolon at the end. This is the query. Okay, so your semicolon is just part of your Java. This query is part of SQL query, so remember to send correctly. And of course this is giving some error here because it's a string, right? Okay, so now this is going to give us a result set, and this result set we have to analyze from the MySQL query. Okay, so we will have to also send the result set. In order for us to analyze it, result set customer info. If customer info is going to be returned, what do? You call the database controller dot and send it, get MySQL result. Send this query and you'll get some result. So if this customer exists, this result is going to have some data there. So if there is data here, then the customer exists. That's the idea. Okay, so if there is data in the customer, meaning if customer info dot next. This is how you check it. Meaning if there is data here, then exist status equal true. Customer exists. So we need to display the error message again. So similar to this, let us copy this error message in this case. If the customer exists without saving the data, we are going to show an error. Okay. Else, so if customer exists is false, otherwise show this error. What is that error? It's not of course e.get message, it will be customer exists. Customer exists. That's the idea. Alright, so there is some error somewhere still? No? Yeah? Here? Customer dot next. If customer dot next. What is this error? Oh, it's because of the it's okay. Throws exception. So if there is an error, you can just throw exception, because you can see here we are calling this. See here. Oh no, we are not. We are not calling. Try catch is not happening here, right? So it's okay. We'll put try catch here. So while we are adding the customer, let's try to do try catch. Catch. If there is an error, we will handle it anyway. Exception, and then show a message box like this one, and again. So this is an error. They are going to be popped up if the customer exists, and this error is if there is an SQL access issue. So this will be e.get message. Exceptions when the database is not reachable, for example, or something like that. Okay. So that is the idea of connecting this kind of databases and handling errors. Now you are receiving data from the database. You can already see here. Let us try to run this program again and see that. Okay, so I'm trying to add the same customer again, and even if the customer has a different phone number or different name, this is the same customer, so you can't add this. You can see here unknown column customer ID in the field. Oh, unknown column customer ID. Where cus ID? There is cust ID. You see, that's the issue. Cus ID is called cus ID. Cus ID is my cus. A099649. Yeah, add the number. So this is what we need. Operation not allowed after result set closed. Alright, so what's happening here is the data connection is being closed. See here, this result set is closed by the database controller when it is returning. So after returning, it's actually closing the connection. Okay, so this is going to be difficult, right? Because we are having a result set. We can't have the connection there. Alright, so the best way to do this is not to close the connection here, and then close the connection here. So after you are done, you make it to true, and then here you say database controller dot close connection. You can't analyze this if it is closed. Okay, just like that. A099649. Again, it's the same customer. Yeah, okay. He's confused just now. Okay, add. Okay, this is what we need. Customer exists, right? So it works. So that is how customer data is checked. Okay, now we have to work on the other part. So for now, we have this customer UI where we are adding the customer data, you see, and we are having this kind of interface where we are adding a customer. And now we have a search, add, and edit, delete data also here. And what should normally happen is, if you are adding a customer, you'll fill the whole thing. If you are searching for a customer, you'll only have the ID card number and search. Now search should trigger the customer controller show method here. So if you look for someone, and plus there's something else I forgot. After you add the customer, you see here, please fill in the fields here. After you store the customer data, we can actually clear out the interface, and that is, we can say customer ID dot set text. Now this is going to be if everything is successful. Okay, so again I prefer that you follow this dot customer ID dot set text, you know, these things, because this refers to the variable we have, this dot customer name dot set text, not get. We are setting the text. Okay, we are making it empty, so make sure to use the correct function here. Dot set text as empty. Yeah. Okay, so that's the idea of setting it this way. Now you have, let me show you what I was talking about. Let's try to add another customer here, different ID card number. Okay, and then like this. So example, adding a customer, you add this customer and it has been added and the interface has been cleared. And again, we are forgetting to display a message box, right? It's a good idea to display a message box here, not here, after you store, because once you store the user to the database, where is the storage? Here. Customer is saved after you have saved the data to customer. Here, saving the customer is part of this function. So let this function show that message information. So this is going to be a message box, simple to this one, just like this one. You are going to have a message box and you are going to display JOption panel. In this case, you will say customer saved to database. This is not an error, this is a information message or successful message, and then there is a success JOption pan dot, just like error message, there is a info message. Yeah, dot info message. Okay, there's a different type of icon. Okay, so this customer exists and we are showing the message box and we are clearing the UI. That's what I was doing then, right? Here, when I was setting all this into empty string, I was just clearing the interface so that the customer has been added. Okay, now let's say you are searching for a customer. Where is the search? If you click the search button, customer UI, search. Let's click the search button. Search, double click it to execute the query. Here is what we have to do with the search button. So when you click the search button, we will have to trigger the controller's search. So customer controller dot show. So what is the customer ID? Cus ID dot get text dot trim again, as usual. So we are getting this customer ID, sending it to the controller, and at the same time this dot dispose, you have to actually dispose. Why? Because this UI is done. When you click search, we are going to go and display a different UI. Why is the case? That's the case because we have a show button here. This is going to create a new interface and grab the customer. So what this will do is this will get the customer information from the database. Again, this function will have a customer. So if this customer exists, see, Boolean variable. If customer does not exist, then we will give a message box. So just like this one, if this customer does not exist, so here, if this customer does not exist, let's use this ID card number, customer ID card number. If this customer does not exist, what is this error? What is this error? Unreported exception. We have to handle, right? Okay, no problem. Try to find this customer. Anyway, we have to do queries, right? If it doesn't work, catch the exception, exception, exception. Oh, e. Then we will show a message box with error. If there is an error, then of course the error will be shown like this. Basic handling stuff. Okay, if this customer does not exist, error message, customer does not exist. Okay, so here in this case we are saving if the customer does not exist. Here, if the customer does not exist, we are showing a message box. Does not exist. No, does not exist. Right? If the ID given is a wrong ID. For example, let's say A099647 doesn't exist such. It is going. Why is it going? It is going here. Controller. Where is controller function? Show customer ID. What is this error? Strange output. Action performed. There is no. We are sending customer here, and then if the customer does not exist, show him the message box and finish. That's what this is supposed to do. So are we sending the correct output? Let me try to go to the UI again. This dot is pause. Okay, is this the problem? Yeah, that is the problem, I think. A099649 647 search. No, what the heck? If this customer does not exist, why is this the case? What is the customer ID? Let's try to work on that first. Yeah, S out. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, you can't S out there. S out. I want to see this data that is inside customer ID. Customer ID dot. Shoof. Sorry about that. You can already see. You can already see the error. This is the error. So the error is basically we are using get name. It should be get text, man. Get text. Wow. Simple. So A099647 search. This customer doesn't exist. And what if it doesn't exist? This is important. We can't dispose it, right? Okay. What happens? Customer doesn't exist. If we do this dispose, does it exit? Let's try to A099647 search. It shows customer does not exist, and it okay. That's good. That's good. It's okay. This just dispose means finish it off. The UI is lost. Why here? Anyway, we are here, right? So what it does is if the customer exists, here you can see if the customer exists, then if the customer does not exist, else. Okay, so if the customer exists, then it will just bring out a new. If it doesn't exist, it will just bring out a new customer. You can look here when you are creating a same thing. Okay, you are actually, it's like rerouting to create function. You could do this. You can just say this this dot create. You are calling this function. This is a way of calling this function. Again, there is no this create. You are creating a new customer. Take him into this window. That is what it means. Else what you are going to do is you are going to grab a customer. The customer exists. Okay, so if that is the case, get the customer details. Customer equal. So you are going to grab this customer information using the database, and here you will create customer. See here, just like this query, you'll create public, static. You're going to return a customer. A customer. What is this customer method? Okay, we didn't give a name. Get customer. Okay, string. You just need customer ID, cus ID. Okay, you do the same query that you did here, and also database connection. Everything is here, and you're returning a customer. Okay, so you could return a customer directly actually. So what you're doing is select star from customer, where customer ID equal customer, and then you have the result set. So this is going to be one customer. So then what you're going to do is again this is some error handling. You can see here, oh, it doesn't have, no problem. If information has next customer info dot next, a few errors here, we don't need this. Okay, it means if the data exists. Of course the data exists, but we are just being cautious, right? This is going to create some exception handling. Also here some exception handling. So let's give the job to the show method. So this is also is going to throws exception. Okay, so meaning whoever is calling me should handle the error. So throws exception means I can't handle error, you handle the error. So this guy will handle it, and you can see here is try catch already here, so this will solve the problem. So customer is equal to this information. Customer is going to be return new customer. So what it is going to return is it's going to use this information that comes from the customer field, and then it's going to return the customer data by retrieving data from the database, and then sending the data to the I would say customer ID. Okay, so customer info is dot get string. What is this value? So new customer is going to be equal to customer. You can see you're creating a new customer temporarily to be used. You use the same architecture. See here, customer ID, customer name, and customer phone number. So these things are being coming from the database. We are going to receive them. So cus ID, comma, the same thing. Okay guys, let me just paste, put a copy it up there. Yeah, so I am going to create a new customer by giving him the customer ID, then customer name, and then one more item, customer phone number, and again this means get that column. Okay, this means get this column, and you can see here already the constructor needs 3 variables. That's why we are struggling here to give 3 variables. This is the last one, and that is customer phone. So we give the customer phone as well. So we don't need this anymore. So you are creating a new customer using so this is a field which is going to be given as like string, not character. Make sure it's double quotes. Yeah, there it is. And then customer phone number. Yeah, now you have the customer, so we are returning the customer. So after the customer has been returned, do we have the correct return? Yeah, okay, return. So this is the return, right? So what you do is you return this customer. So create a customer from DB. This is the customer you're getting from DB, and from DB is assigned a new customer temporarily, and then you are going to assign this equal from DB is equal to, we are reinitializing it into this customer and then return. Okay, close the connection and return. Lot of work here, guys. Anyway, please understand what's happening here. We have a customer, we go to the database, grab his information and return him, and now we have this customer. Okay, so once we have this customer, then what will happen is we are going to set this information and show it to the user. So we already have this customer and we have to give this customer data into the view, which is our UI. We have to give this guy the customer data. Then he will display this information here. Okay, basically that is how this is going to happen. If he has the customer variable, then he will display it. If he doesn't have, then he can't display this information, right? So on the source code here, you can actually go and copy your UI. Same thing, you can copy here, and here you can create a customer existing. Sorry, just a customer. So you are getting a customer through the customer UI. Once you have a customer UI, you are going to, so already you can see init components and these things are common to both. So what you do is public void UI let's say set UI. I'll call this as set UI. And here you will move these two components because you don't want to put repetitive codes, and delete these things and just call this set UI function. So set UI is going to set everything, and then they do the same thing here, set UI, yeah. So in addition, because we have a customer, what we are going to do is we say this it's okay, cus underscore id dot set text. So you are going to set the text using the customer dot get customer ID card number. You understand what's happening here? You are getting those details from the database, sending it into the customer UI, and now that customer UI has access to it, it's going to set the components. What is this item called? Customer name, and customer name dot set text. The same thing you will do here, customer dot get the name, and like that it goes on. Customer phone number is this like that dot set text. Yes, the same thing you hear, customer dot get phone number. Okay, so what is happening is we are trying to send this information. Sorry guys, I just saw an accident on the road. Damn, I'm sitting near this window and there is an accident on the main road of Ulumale. A motorcycle fell. So okay, no one is hurt. Phew. Right, so here in the controller, because you are showing a customer, you are just going to say new customer UI and send in the result that you get from this get customer. See, get customer, and get customer is a function you are sending in this ID, cus underscore ID dot set visible true. Okay, so what's happening is you are calling this method, it is going to give the customer, and you are calling a new UI, and it's going to bring out that interface, this interface, and you have to make it visible to show it to the customer. And because it has a customer, it's going to display this information. Let's run it. A099649 is me. Search. There it is. See. So usually what's happening is the previous window gets lost and a new window pops up. You can of course do it differently, but this is also fine, right? It's a better way of handling things. So the previous interface is gone. This is a new interface. Now one of the things you might want to do is, because this is already search, you are displaying the information. So even if the customer changes, he has to click edit or add in order to save this data, else it won't work. Yeah, okay, so wherever the user is clicking from, whether he's search or editing, the function that gets executed is what is important. So add works, edit works, edit doesn't work yet, right? Okay, add works and search works. So that's it for this class, just to show that we can grab information from the database as well. And we have these functions here where you are getting the result from the database, and in the controller we have functions created here to get the data from the database. I know this is quite a lot of things for students, especially if you are new to Java 20 stuff and database, but please try to practice this as much as you can, because for your assignment you must do these things. Okay guys, thank you very much.